The moment she dialed 911 to shut down my wedding, I knew Delilah Thornfield, our self-appointed HOA dictator, was about to dig her own grave. What she didn't know, half the cops rushing toward my house owed me their lives, and by the end of the night, her perfect little empire was going to collapse in front of the whole neighborhood. Act 1. The conflict begins. My name's Jake Martinez, and 18 months ago, I thought I'd found paradise. After 12 years as an army medic, bouncing between Afghanistan, Iraq, and a dozen godforsaken deserts, I just wanted the American dream. White picket fence, quiet neighborhood, a backyard with roses that smelled like peace. After years of gunpowder and dust, my wife Sarah had just finished cancer treatment, and remission felt like a miracle. We bought a modest 3-bedroom in Willowbrook Heights, a subdivision outside Colorado Springs. Nothing fancy, but it had heart. More importantly, it had enough space for the intimate wedding we'd been planning for months. That's when I met her, Delilah Thornfield, 58, recently divorced, living in the biggest corner house with landscaping so precise it looked like a golf course. She was the kind of woman who measured grass height with an actual ruler. HOA president for 6 years. She'd written more violation notices than the previous president had in almost a decade. Our first meeting should have been a warning. I was hanging string lights in the backyard when I heard the sharp click of heels. She appeared at my fence like some suburban vampire, clipboard in hand. Those aren't approved decorative elements. She barked. I stared at her, confused. I'm sorry. What? String lights require architectural committee approval. Section 4.2. of the bylaws. You'll need to submit Form 27B with a lighting plan. I swallowed my frustration. Military training taught me composure, even when someone's barking nonsense. Ma'am, these are just LED lights for our wedding reception. Her face softened fake, syrupy sweet. Oh, a wedding. How lovely. Those Edison bulbs will really add ambiance. Turns out her smiles were as reliable as a chocolate teapot. Because 3 months later, a letter arrived demanding an $850 permit and a $2 damage deposit rules she'd forgotten to mention earlier. And that was just the beginning. Guest lists required, parking limits that forced my elderly in-laws to walk blocks, music cutoffs before the ceremony was even done. Every time, she leaned on the same phrase, "I'm just following the rules, honey." But it was clear she wasn't following the rules, she was inventing them. The night before the wedding, she marched in with her tape measure and declared our flower arch illegal. Sarah broke down in tears. Real tears, the kind I hadn't seen even during chemo. Watching her cry, that was the first time I thought, maybe this woman has already won. Act 2. Escalation and turning point. Wedding morning, Colorado sunshine. Fresh air, and the sound of a health inspector at our caterer's kitchen, thanks to an anonymous complaint. Guess who made the call? By afternoon, Delilah was reporting our DJ for noise violations, demanding to inspect electrical wiring like she was a licensed engineer. When our photographer tried to capture pre-ceremony shots, she deliberately walked into the frames, holding up a sign that read, "Illegal gathering." That's when I finally stopped playing nice. I started recording her, every smug smirk, every fake complaint, every deliberate attempt to ruin our day. Within minutes, I had footage of her harassment. And when I sent it to Linda Morgan, another HOA board member, she texted back, "OMG, Jake, this isn't board approved. She's acting alone." And something strange happened. Neighbors who'd been silent started stepping up. Mrs. Peterson brought extra chairs. The Rodriguez family carried in tables. Even the teenager down the street offered to direct parking. It was like the whole community had been waiting for someone to stand up to her. But even as they rallied, I doubted myself. Standing in my backyard, watching Sarah wipe tears off her cheeks, I thought, did I make a mistake moving here? Should I have just backed down to keep the peace? The doubt ate at me until the sound of engines rolled in. 5 cars pulled up in formation. Out stepped 6 men in full dress blues, ribbons shining, brass polished. These weren't just guests. These were brothers men whose lives I'd pulled out of burning Humvees and roadside explosions. And for the first time, I saw the flicker of fear on Delilah's face. Still, she wasn't finished. When our minister started the ceremony, she showed up with an actual megaphone, screaming about illegal gatherings while drowning out our vows. The irony, She was breaking the noise ordinance while accusing us of it. Neighbors snapped. Mrs. Peterson shouted, "Shut your damn mouth!" Delilah Rodriguez called her loca, crazy in Spanish. One by one, the entire block stood up to her, but she still had one last card to play. As we cut the cake, she marched into the yard, phone pressed to her ear, shouting, "This illegal gathering ends now. I'm reporting a public disturbance." Within minutes, sirens, red and blue lights flashing across the street. Guests froze. Sarah clutched my hand, terrified. And that's when the twist hit. Act 3. The showdown. 3 patrol cars rolled up, followed by a supervisor vehicle. Delilah smirked, arms crossed, certain she'd finally crushed me. But the first cop out was Lieutenant Morrison, a man whose life I'd once saved when a shotgun blast shredded his leg. He saw me in a tux, grinned ear to ear, and shouted, "Jake Martinez, what the hell are you doing here?" Delilah's smug smile evaporated. One by one, more officers recognized me. Sergeant Williams. I'd trained his son in EMT certification, Officer Morgan. I'd taught him CPR that saved his father's life, Detective Rush. I'd counseled her through PTSD after a shooting. These weren't just cops. These were people I'd carried through the darkest moments of their lives. And now, they were here, looking at Delilah like she was the criminal. I showed Morrison my phone, videos, emails, threats, proof of harassment. He shook his head. "Jake, this looks like stalking and harassment to me. How long has this been going on?" "Months," I said. And just like that, the power shifted. Neighbors poured in with their own evidence photos of Delilah measuring lawns with a ruler, screenshots of her rants about military types ruining neighborhoods, even proof that her own deck violated the setback rules she enforced on everyone else. Then came the nail in the coffin, a financial audit exposing $23,000 missing from HOA funds, every withdrawal signed by her. And as if that wasn't enough, my security cameras caught 2 hired vandals spray painting military bully on my garage, paid for with Delilah's credit card. The emergency HOA meeting turned into a circus. Reporters crammed into the community hall, neighbors shoulder to shoulder, TV cameras rolling. Delilah strutted in with a lawyer and her pearls, convinced she was untouchable. But when the evidence went up on the projector, embezzlement, vandalism, harassment, her lawyer quietly packed up his briefcase and slipped out the back. Delilah lost it, screaming about military conspiracies, pointing at me, shrieking that veterans bring violence to good communities. Her mask slipped, and the raw discrimination spilled out on live TV. That's when I walked to the podium. The room fell silent. I didn't serve 12 years overseas just to come home and be bullied by someone who thinks patriotism comes with a homeowner's manual. I held up my folder, thick with documents. I recorded everything, every threat, every lie, every abuse of power. Because soldiers document, we gather intel, and we protect our communities from people who think power is theirs to abuse. The room erupted, neighbors on their feet, applauding, reporters clapping. And then, like something out of a movie, my army brothers snapped to attention. The officers followed, a line of uniforms, saluting me while Delilah stood frozen, humiliated, and stripped of power. The vote was unanimous, effective immediately. Delilah Thornfield was removed as HOA president. A restraining order in place. Criminal charges filed. Her reign was over. Final line, the lesson. Bullies thrive on fear and silence, but the moment you stand tall and shine a light on the truth, they collapse under their own lies.